Hello everyone. In this video, we'll talk about sensitivity and thixotropy and the remaining soil aggregate properties also. For more such videos and solved examples, you can sign up on our website apicd.in. The link is given in the description. So if we talk about sensitivity first, so it is defined for fine-grained soils. Now a lot of construction or most of the construction, it requires that we disturb the soil. You can imagine if we are trying to install a pile on the site or even simply trying to put a shallow foundation also, we have to disturb this soil which is present around this foundation. Now due to this disturbance of the soil, or we can say we'll remove this soil if we are talking about shallow foundation, and then again we'll refill it. So due to this remolding, the soil loses a part of its strength. The strength reduces, and that happens because the structure that is present in this soil, the soil mineral structure, can be disturbed, and the water molecules that are absorbed by these particles or these clay particles, there is disturbance in these water molecules also. So the prevailing structure that is present on the site is disturbed, and due to that it loses a part of this strength. So with the help of sensitivity, we are trying to quantify how much of this strength is lost. So if we talk about the definition or how we calculate it, so sensitivity, it is defined as the unconfined compressive strength of undisturbed sample by unconfined compressive strength of the remolded sample. So if we take an undisturbed sample and find out its unconfined compressive strength, unconfined compressive strength test we study in shear strength of soil. So in this test we take a cylindrical specimen of a soil and we test it under compression, and the load at which it crushes under compression, we define it as its unconfined compressive strength. So there is no confinement in this test, like there is no cell membrane or no confining pressure, so that's why we call it unconfined. We'll see more about it in shear strength. So that is the unconfined compressive strength. Now if we take an undisturbed sample from the field and find its unconfined compressive strength, and if we remold this sample, we disturb this sample, and then again we make a cylindrical specimen out of it and find the unconfined compressive strength. So this ratio here gives the sensitivity of the soil. Now based on the sensitivity, the soil can be classified in different ways. That is, if the value is between 1 to 4, the soil is classified as normal. If it is between 4 to 8, then it is sensitive. If it is between 8 to 15, then it is extra sensitive, and if it is greater than 15, then the soil is classified as quick. So these are the different classifications based on the sensitivity. Now in most of the cases we see that the sensitivity value is greater than 1. It is greater than 1 in most of the cases, but sometimes it also happens that due to the remolding, the value of unconfined compressive strength increases. That is, this value sometimes come out to be less than 1. The denominator becomes greater than the numerator. So that happens in the cases, let's say if we take initial undisturbed sample and there is some fissure in this soil. So when we do the testing, so this will fail at a lower load, and once we remold this sample, so this fissure will be removed, or if some cracks are there, those will be removed and the strength is increased. So in those cases this value comes out to be less than 1. So generally it happens in case of stiff clays. Then on the same line, similar to sensitivity or this behavior, we have the next definition, that is thixotropy. So once we disturb a soil and then we leave this soil for some time, let's say we have excavated this soil from here, and then let's say this excavated soil is just resting on the surface here. This is something you all would have observed. So when this soil is resting, so if you compare the strength once on the day when it was excavated, it would have been really loose and you can make it into any shape as you want, but as it rests for some time, the strength of this soil increases, or it forms a structure. We can say it is not as easy as it was on the first day to remold this soil. It will have some additional strength. So this property, due to which the soil regains a part of the strength that it lost due to remolding, this property is known as thixotropy, and we do it at, we measure it at unaltered moisture content. So moisture content in this process is not changed. When we are comparing the part of the strength that is regained, we are comparing at the same moisture content. So as in the case of sensitivity, we are talking about that when this disturbance takes place, so this structure is disturbed and the adsorbed water that is there in these layers, that is also disturbed. So when we leave it for some time, the structure again regains itself and reorientation of water molecules take place. So due to that reason, there is an increase in the strength. Now there is a relation also between thixotropy and sensitivity. So if sensitivity is higher, then thixotropic hardening will also be higher. We can write, higher the sensitivity, higher will be the thixotropic hardening. Then the next definition we have is activity. Activity of a soil. So activity, it is defined for clay soils and it is defined as the ratio of plasticity index to the percentage of particles by weight that are finer than 2 micron. So the percentage of particles finer than 2 microns is equivalent to saying the percentage of particles of clay, because when we see the particles finer than this size, we are talking about the clay particles. So it is a ratio of plasticity index to the percentage of clay particles in a soil, and with the help of activity we can figure out what will be the compressibility behavior and how the soil will behave if the moisture content changes. So if the activity of a soil is higher, then it will have higher compressibility and higher swelling and shrinkage characteristics. So swelling and shrinkage will also be higher along with the compressibility of the soil. So based on the value of activity, the soil is again classified. So if the value is less than 0.75, then we call the soil to be inactive. So this soil will be less compressible and this will not show much of the swelling and shrinkage behavior. If it is between 0.75 to 1.25, then it is called normal. And if the value is greater than 1.25, then the soil is called active. So if higher is the value, then the soil will show more of these behaviors. So that we can understand with the value of activity here. So these were the definitions for fine grained soils. Then the next one we have, the last one, that is the relative density, which is used for coarse grained soils. To understand the behavior of coarse grained soils on field, it is also known as the density index. So this relative density indicates the degree of denseness, or we can say degree of looseness for a coarse grained soil. So we define relative density as the difference of void ratio. So in the numerator we take the maximum void ratio to the natural void ratio, and in the denominator we have maximum minus minimum void ratio times 100. for expressing it in percentage. So basically we are comparing that whatever is the maximum possible void ratio, compared to that where is the natural void ratio for that soil. So instead of only seeing the void ratio, if we see relatively how it is in terms of maximum and minimum possible void ratio, so it indicates the denseness of an in situ soil better than if we only see the void ratio. So based on the environmental factors or how the settlement of these particles took place, the value of this relative density, it can be different for two soils that have similar grain shape and size. If grain shape and size is same, even in those cases the relative density can be different, because how the settlement took place, how the soil formation took place, those can be different for two soils having the similar size and shape characteristics. Now there is one more formula that is used for relative density. So we know the dry density, it is given as Gs gamma W upon 1 plus E. So from here if we find E, so it will be Gs gamma W upon gamma D minus 1. And we can also say that if the void ratio is higher, then dry density will be smaller. Here these are inversely related because this is constant here. So when the void ratio is maximum, the dry density will be minimum, and when the void ratio is minimum, the dry density will be maximum. So here in terms of dry density, we write this formula as gamma D max by gamma D times this, here is the natural dry density of the soil, times gamma D natural minus gamma D minimum divided by gamma D maximum minus gamma D minimum times 100. Now there is one more thing to remember. Let's say if we assume that all of these soil particles are spherical in shape and of uniform size, then what is the maximum and minimum void ratio? So if we talk about the maximum void ratio for the spherical particles of uniform size, then that value comes as 0.91, and the minimum void ratio is 0.35. Though these values are not possible or generally not seen in reality, but it can give you an idea about the natural state of a soil, how the, I mean, based on the void ratio and comparing to these values, we can see how dense or how loose the soil is by calculating the relative density. So these were all of the soil aggregate properties that we have covered here. I hope you found this video useful. Please like, subscribe and share this video with your friends.